Welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I'll be teaching you all the systems and strategies you need in creating your visibility so you can turn your passion for coaching into a profitable business. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach, content and email marketing strategist, international speaker, and author, as well as the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. I'm on a mission to be the champion that helps you to get to the top of your mountain, one courageous step at a time. Welcome to the show. Today, super excited because I actually have one of my clients joining me, and she and I met each other just not too long ago this year. But she's been doing a lot of amazing stuff, and she's been booked by multiple podcasts already. And her message is just very, very important, and it's very relatable because at the end of the day, a lot of what we're doing are building relationship and having relationship. And I remember back in the days when I was struggling with my own relationship, I kept listing my relationship status as complicated. I mean, relationship complicated? Like, is it really that complicated? We're going to find out. Today, I have Jenn Chow, who is a certified professional coach for the LGBTQ plus community. As the founder of C.How Coaching, Jenn helps LGBTQ plus women become better partners so they can create the relationship they desire and deserve. Clients who work with her feels lost in their relationship. That sounds like me a couple of years ago. They struggle with self-doubt, effective communication, and unclear expectation, which then starts to create tension in the relationship. That also sounds me. And if this is you, also drop me a heart or maybe a blue heart or broken heart if you're still in that process of healing. If your current relationship status is listed as complicated, drop a broken heart inside the chat. All right. She works together with one-on-one with her client, and her clients get clarity on what they truly desire in a relationship. They get deeper self-awareness and walking through all the mental and emotional blocks to show up in their partnership so that they can have more authenticity and confidence. Jenn's education achievement include ICF Accredited Associate Certified Coach, Certified Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner, Certified Professional Coach, and Certified Encouragement Consultant. Jenn was born in Taiwan, grew up in California, and today she lives in Osaka, Japan with her partner, a dental hygienist turned English instructor. So, please join me with the warm welcome, Jenn Chow, who is going to talk to us and share her insights about how to make better connection and a better relationship. Hi, Jenn.
Hey, Michelle. Hi. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's so exciting because you're actually in California this week.
Yes. Yes. So this is my kid room when I was a kid.
Yeah. How did you go from living and grew up in California going to Osaka, Japan?
I think it was I got to a point that I really needed to get away from where I was living, and I left immediately after I graduated university. And it was kind of an escape for me, actually, in all sense. I think I just needed to get away and kind of find myself. And so that's how I just kind of left after graduating. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was in a very, very weird period of my life, what I think a lot of people were. But I just knew I was very, very unhappy here. I was closeted here. I was not open. I didn't even know what I was. I thought there was a lot of things that were wrong with me. And I just thought, a change of scenery, a change of just lifestyle would give me the opportunity to kind of, I guess, discover myself. So.
And was it easy to just, because you were what, in your 20s when you left California?
Yeah, I think I turned 21 there.
Yeah, was it easy for you to, because I imagine you had you have friends, you have family here, and was it easy for you to just drop everything and just say, you know what, California is really not for me. I'm going to pack up and I'm going to go to Japan.
Oh, that's a great question. I think my dream has always been to live in Japan, actually, since I was a very, very young kid. It was difficult in a sense because I have my family here. I wasn't exactly like a popular kid in high school, so friends was okay. And the thing was, I actually didn't think I would go there long term. I really just I got a contract to teach English in Japan, and so it was only like a year contract, and you could renew if you wanted. The plan was only to go for 2 years, and I promised my mom. I told her like I'll just be there for 2 years. I promise I'll come back. It'll be great. And she's like, okay, 2 years is fine. So, I mean, there was always a plan for me to come back. And then fast forward 13 years now, I'm still back there. So, so she's not quite happy about that, but
Yeah. And so I kind of want to go into how you got involved with the LGBTQ plus community, because I think, just from what I heard, I actually know this because you've told me, I kind of think that, not everyone step out of their closet until something happened in their life and something that made them realize that, what, this is a new self-identity, an area where I want to explore and just being true to myself. So was it in California, or did you find out that you have this, your self-identity is, you identify yourself as a lesbian?
Mhm, mhm.
When did that happen?
That really happened when I was in Japan. I mean, I always knew there was something a little different about me, going through puberty, and like I was crushing on a lot of a lot of my girlfriends when they were talking about the cute guy and whatever. And I was like, oh, I don't feel that way. And so I definitely had kind of a peek into it when I was young in California, but I was so scared of what that meant. And I had a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment about it. So I didn't really think about it. I spent all my time kind of trying to avoid anything that was like this, I guess, until I went to Japan, when I went to a place where no one knew who I was. And so I started my first same-sex relationship in Japan, and I realized, I kind of gave myself this opportunity, and I think going to Japan, it was an opportunity to try new things. I mean, going to Japan was trying new things already, so I thought, well, might as well just keep going and try new things. And I realized, oh, okay, this is. I mean, I've dated guys before in the past, and it just never felt right. It felt really awkward for me, and my relationships, the longest one was like I think like a month, and I just could not like continue it. So it wasn't until I went to Japan and I met someone, and then I fell completely head over heels for a woman. And then I think that I've never felt that ever before in my life. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how much clearer I need to know. Like, this is it. And so from there, it was just kind of, I mean, I just had to kind of come out to myself and realize this is who I am. And this feels the most comfortable for me.
Mhm. I think, just to give the listener and the viewer a little background. So Jen was born in Taiwan, and, I was also born in Taiwan. So there's that very close connection. And I
Hmm.
really understand what that culture, coming out from an Asian culture where the LGBTQ community, has not been widely accepted in the ages where we both grew up,
Yeah.
and it was not something that we can openly talk about. Or when you hear, there's still a lot of judgment around, oh, what does that mean? Well, whoa, how could you ever say that? Oh, how do you even know? So there's
Hmm.
a lot of judgment around that self-identity that you're stepping into. And I salute you for that, because that actually takes a lot of courage to actually step up and say, you know what, I am who I am. This is how I'm going to live my life, whether you like it or not. It's not about you, it's about me.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
having that truth in stepping into your true identity, I'm sure there was a lot of relationship new adventures that you have never been exposed to before. So going to Japan was one, something that's new. Exploring being an English teacher in a foreign country is another new thing. And now you're finding yourself in this new lifestyle of relationship. What were some of the challenges that you experienced as in the LGBTQ plus community?
Oh, that's another really great question. Thank you so much. I think I kind of came out to myself in Japan, which, like you said, is not, being an Asian in an Asian culture, it's not really as widely accepted as it is in the Western countries. And so in Japan, it is even, I think, even more closed than it is even than compared to Taiwan, for example, our hometown. So it's very, very hush hush, quiet. There's no open homophobia, but it's very unseen. It's like don't say, don't, what is it? The don't say, don't speak, or right. So
Mhm.
that experience was kind of strange. And it kind of, in a way, it was so freeing because there were no rules, really. There were no expectations or whatever. And it was all mostly my own self expectations that was really closing me in a box because I didn't grow up with a lot of resources, a lot of exposure to people like me or people like us, like the Asian community. Like you said, I didn't know anybody who looked like me, who felt the way that I felt. And so going into a relationship, it was really difficult because I had no idea what a lesbian relationship or same sex relationship looked like.
Mhm.
I had some gay friends, but they're guys. And I was like, I don't, there's definitely differences. I mean, there's physical differences. There's definitely some aspects of the way that we deal with things that are quite different. So I was under the impression of like, okay, so I guess the only image I had of a relationship was the heteronormative relationship. So there has to be, and I mean, I think a lot of the people in the LGBT community would be shocked to hear me say, but I had the stereotype of, okay, so I should be like the man in the relationship, and my
Mhm.
girlfriend has to be like the girl in the relationship. And it just, I mean, it didn't work out. It really did not work out that way. And there was a lot of trial and error that we had to go through. And now I'm just kind of at a point where I realized, well, we're just gonna try and find what works. And there's no set box. And the same with everybody else is what I've realized is there is no set type of relationship. There's only you and your partner, and you guys make what works for you. It doesn't have to be understood by other people. It just needs to be understood by the two of you.
Mhm. I think that's beautifully said because when we're thinking about relationship, a lot of people, including myself, we bring into a relationship some expectation, right? The expectation of how our partner should be, how this relationship should play out, and so there's a lot of I guess we will call it the limiting belief or like living in a social construct like men should be like most of the time they're the one who's going out and the breadwinner and the woman would be someone who's like staying home and doing all these house chore, right?
Mhm.
Even though people don't talk about it, we don't speak about it, but still there's that limiting belief about how we supposed to be versus how we truly are.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think another point that you brought up was really interesting for me is that looking at the same sex relationship, I think what's really interesting is as a woman, I know a lot of time I get really emotional, right?
Mm.
I cry, I laugh, and I base a lot of things on the emotional. So when you have same sex relationship, how do you balance out between the two? Like when do you decide, or has that show up as a conflict?
Yes, yes. My partner and I are both really, really emotional. And wow, I don't think I really have been and I don't think I've ever been so emotionally expressive with anyone else except my partner. She gave me the space to express myself emotionally. So she kind of opened Pandora's box. So my previous relationship I was dating somebody who was more, very feminine on the outside, but very, very masculine on the inside. So I felt very I was kind of more the girly one and more of the teary one. My partner didn't really cry or whatever, and we didn't talk about anything. And that wasn't a healthy relationship at all. There was a lot of problems there. But my current relationship with my partner, Matt, now, we're both very emotional. And before everything, we cried, we screamed, and it was so emotionally fiery, passionate, I guess, in like the worst sense, because there was a lot of very, very dramatic arguments, a lot of slamming doors and get out of the house and things like that. It has been really, really difficult. And I realized, being so emotionally charged in a sense and not understanding why and how and what triggers it is very, very dangerous. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be emotional, definitely be emotional, but understanding, well, when is this a good emotion to have? When is it appropriate to react this way? That's what I think really changed in my relationship, because if I just kept going on and if we just kept going on the way that we were, which was just, the emotion is push the button and then explode and then just yell at each other, that doesn't go anywhere. But after I went through coaching, after I was coached and going through the process, is realizing, oh, you know what? Let's keep the finger off the button now. Let's try to go through it a little bit calmer and have a little bit more control in the relationship. That really, really actually helped.
Mm-hmm. I love how you describe all these conflict when you have two kind of like two bumpy heads, right? Bumping against each other. Of course, there's going to be a lot of like conflicts and arguments and fights, that arises. And this is true whether it's the same sex or the opposite sex or just, in relationship in general. And I kind of wanted to dial back just a little bit because you brought up the fact that coaching had really helped creating that awareness, and it had definitely helped you in the relationship aspect. So I kind of wanted to dial back a little bit. So you're in Japan now, and you're teaching English teacher, and you actually step into your own true identity. At what point did you realize that coaching was something that you wanted to go into? What made you make that shift? Hey there, sorry to interrupt. What is your storytelling superpower that builds trust, authority, and attracts so many clients in your coaching business? Storytelling in your coaching business can boost your conversion rates. In fact, every story you tell can make marketing your business quick, easy, and actually kind of fun. This means that you can write, speak, create any messages that resonate with your soulmate client without sacrificing your uniqueness and feeling icky. The sheer magnetism of your story is what will ultimately hyper attract your community of soulmate clients and followers. You really can get paid for who you are and not just what you do. Ready to find out your happy ending? Head over to quiz.braveyourbrand.com to find out what storytelling superpower you have in your coaching business.
I think with a lot of coaches, there was a moment in time when this was it. This was the only thing that you had left. And that was the feeling that I had. My relationship with my current partner had gotten to such a bad place that, we were literally arguing every day. And we've gotten to a point where we had to get like intervention from our friends because it was getting so bad. Mm-hmm. And there was also, so emotionally, we were both really exhausted, both just having a lot of trouble being like, we didn't know, we loved each other, yes, but somehow we were just not connecting. It was just everything we taught, any conversation we had always led to an argument. And we were both having some problems, and she was having problems with at work. And right before the pandemic started, she had a breakdown, like an absolute breakdown, just tears. And she was like, I can't leave the house. I'm so scared to get out of bed. And it just made me realize I have a part in this situation that she's going through. I'm not helping with being absolutely having no idea what I'm doing with my emotions, getting angry at her all the time. It's not helping. It's definitely not helping. And so I realized, I can't change her. I have to change myself. I want to help her, but it's not help her, it's help me to help her in a
Mm.
weird way. And so that really got me to a point where I was looking for anything basically at this point to help me figure out what was my role, what could I do to make it better. I had gone into therapy, they just gave me medicine, and I was like, a pill is not going to help me fix my relationship. And I had counseling, and that helped a little bit, but it was not getting me to that one point that I knew that I could get to. I was missing something. And I was talking to my counselor, and I told her, this is good. It's like I'm getting 30%, but what's with the 70%? And she's like, have you ever thought about coaching? And I was like, what's that? And she's like, well, okay, check it out. And then I got on, and I found coaching, and I was so obsessed with it immediately, because this felt like, this was it. It was everything I needed. And so that's how I basically started, and that's how, the relationship blossomed.
I love it. And you definitely, when I met you, you definitely at the end of that relationship conflict journey, and you were actually going on a high in the coaching space. So it was a good place for us to start working together. It was really just like you made it so easy. And I think, one of the things that you just talked about is I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, I have a relationship problem or a relationship issue. The first thing that people think about, or you hear, other people advice would be, oh, go see a therapist. Right.
Mhm.
So I'm curious. I know the answer, but I'm curious, what would be the difference between a therapy versus coaching?
Well, therapy really, I mean, we know the answer as coaches, but yeah, but therapy is really focusing on like the past and traumas. And yes, I had some issues with with past and everything, and which relates to why I react the way that I react. But I went to therapy, and they're talking about my past. And right now I'm like, I don't need to know why I'm this way. I need to know how I can change what's happening now and the future, because I want a future with this person. I don't know how digging up the past with my father's death and my shame is really going to help right now. The problem is now. And so that's, I think, the big difference in therapy. The therapy did help in a lot of other aspects, and dealing with, my self acceptance and things like that. But at that point, what I needed was right now, my relationship. And so coaching really does help focus on right now in the present moment, and where do you want to go in the future? How are we going to get you there? And I knew I wanted to make a future with this person. I just didn't know how. I mean, it's like a blurry, you look forward, and there's a pathway somewhere. It's just foggy. It's really foggy, but there's like a rainbow castle at the end of the road, and you just like, get me there. That's kind of what therapy does, right? They kind of just blow the fog away, and here's the path. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think for me, the way that I understand a relationship therapy and coaching is that there's different questions that's being asked at different stage of our life for different reason, right? If I'm trying to understand my past, I'm trying to understand or heal all these trauma or tragedy, and what you talked about, acceptance, then perhaps, in that sense, therapy can really be beneficial, where I'm trying to understand, why am I being this way, or trying to understand my own behavior. So giving a sense of why things are the way it is. and
mhm,
and it kind of really goes into the therapy portion, because a lot of these traumas, we have to heal it first before we start thinking about, all right, I'm ready to take some action, and here's my how to. So I think, in a sense, it almost sounds like coaching gave you more language to know your how to do the action, how to take your next step, how to do something better.
mhm.
And what you talked about earlier is how your relationship is blossom. Can you tell us a little bit about how that is possible, and what exactly is a conscious love, conscious love?
So I think when we get into relationships, we don't really have an idea of what our ideal relationship is like. I mean, for me and for a lot of my clients that I work with, they just go into a relationship because they're attracted to the person physically, emotionally, and they're like, yes, it's great. I see the fireworks, I feel the fireworks. So let's go. And that's kind of how it started with me in all of my relationships. It was the fireworks, the oh, it's fun to be with you, I want to be with you kind of situation. And the problem is that you go in and then you've got the honeymoon phase, and after, a couple of months, you start to see the person as who they really are, because the honeymoon, the mask and the honeymoon, the veil kind of comes off after a while. And so I have this concept called the conscious loving, which is, before you get into a relationship, or even if you are in a relationship and you've never been aware, it's okay, you can start anytime. But going into a relationship and understanding what is it that you want from a relationship, because it's not just fireworks and bam, bam, bam. It's not it doesn't last long. And I think that's a big, in my mind, it's a lie that we've been taught ever since we were kids, live happily ever after. Doesn't really work like that in reality. And so go into a relationship, or what is it that understanding what it is, being aware of what it is that you want in a relationship is super important, because then that will give you at least the language to speak about it with your partner and tell them, and to kind of clarify with each other, this is what I can give, what is it that you can give, this is what I'm able to negotiate, this is what I'm able to negotiate with, these are my must-haves. Is it okay? Like, are you able to do this? And if not, then what can we do? Can we do anything about it? Right? This will open up a lot of conversation, a lot of very deep conversation, a lot of very important conversations, right? And if you don't speak about this, if you don't have the language and you don't have the awareness, then you're just going through. And the thing with what happened with me and my partner was I went into the relationship with the honeymoon phase, blah, 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 didn't know what I was going through, didn't know what I wanted. I just knew what she was doing was not what I wanted. And that was where I would like nitpick and nag, and would nitpick and nag, but we didn't really know what it was that we wanted. So she would always ask me, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know, but that's not it. That would be like a triggering conversation, right?
Yeah.
But after, coaching, going through coaching and having a lot of, because coaching it's a relationship that you build with yourself, understanding and becoming very, very consciously aware of what is it that you want, what are your values, what are your triggers, what are the buttons that people can push, being aware of that. And then learning the language and the techniques to actually speak about it with someone else. That kind of opened up the window to, I kind of sat my partner down and was like, you know what, this is what I'm doing. I'm learning all these things. And here's what I've found out about myself through coaching with my coach. This is what I discovered in this session. And you know what, I realized that I kind of need this. And I feel like that's why when you say this is how I take it, and it triggers me. And I just need to know, is that what you meant? And like that really opened up a lot of conversations. And that's why that's what I mean by our relationship really blossomed, because now she understands what I want, what I need, what I misinterpret, so we can both clarify each other. And that has helped her as well learn, because she's looking at me in the way I speak now and the way that I'm processing things. And she's like a little sponge and she's sucking it all up. And so she's learning as well. So now we're able to have conversations. I mean, it's not perfect. We still do get into small arguments, but we went from 5-hour arguments to like 20 minutes. So it's really, really amazing, I think.
Yeah, and I also think that, having a relationship means that you have conversation, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you can't even have like a smooth or decent conversation with each other, then you don't have a relationship. And
Yeah.
perhaps that's what makes relationships so complicated, because a lot of time people are at the end of that rainbow and it's not rainbow anymore. It's more like dark cloud.
Yeah.
And you don't have that conversation. And that's usually, it prompts people to say, oh, maybe I ought to look into my relationship and what the problem is. And so I love what you just shared. And I'm also interested, and I do want to kind of wrap up a little bit. I know that you work with clients. So let's say someone who's coming to you, and this is like their first time, even remotely. They knew something is going on in a relationship, something is not working out. What are some of the ways that you help them to like understand what's going on in my relationship?
So actually right now I'm working on a worksheet which plans out the 7 levels of love. So it's something I'm working on right now, and it's really helping people become aware of which level of love that they're at. So really quickly, just as an example, level 1 relationship, level 1 level of love is basically like, I'm a victim. Everything you do is wrong, and everything I do is wrong, and I don't know what to do. So understanding where you are, understanding where you are in the relationship, and choosing which level of love you want to go through is what's really important. That's what I work on with my clients to help them.
Wait, so what are the 7 levels?
So the level 1 is that you're at victim mentality. So you're thinking, everything you do is wrong. Level 2, you're quite at a conflict area where you have to defend yourself, because whatever they say is going to, you have to defend, right? You have to attack them. Level 3 would be more of like, you're just settling, right? You're rationalizing everything, and you're like trying to think of, well, I guess this is why they're doing it. You rationalize. Level 4 is when you're like, okay, you know what, I'll do everything for you. It's all good, right? And level 5 is more like, you're thinking of ways to help them benefit each other. Once you move on to level 6, then you're thinking of opportunities, any kind of ways to like, any kind of way to grow, and you're just looking for, growth. Basically, that's that one. And then 7 is just, it's all good. It's all bliss. So that's really quick, like a really quick run through. I'm working on a worksheet right now, and I'm eventually going to make it into a workshop. So yeah.
Ooh, sounds exciting. And
Yeah.
so let's say I'm someone who's listening right now, and I know this is something that could really help me because I have no idea what makes my relationship status so complicated. So how do I get a copy of your worksheets?
Oh, definitely go on to my website at www.chowcoaching, CHOW, chowcoaching.com. Or you can find me on Instagram. So Instagram is the same, chow_coaching. You can find me there, and just drop me an email, and I'll send you the, thank you. Yeah, I'll send you the worksheet.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yes. Did I spell your website right?
Yes, but I think there's a www in there.
I think most of the browser. So this
Oh.
is like totally marketing 101.
Ooh.
You don't need, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need the www in most of the browser or website address anymore. You can just simply tell people chowcoaching.com, and that would just take people straight to this chowcoaching.com. Very rarely do I see you need to put in the www anymore.
All right. So I learn everything every time I get on a call with you.
But again, you can find Jenn at jennifer.chow.50. I have a question about that 50. What does that? I'm sure
I'm the
there's a lot of
50th Jennifer Chow.
on Facebook, right? And then you can also find her on Instagram, and just go follow her. She creates a lot of very, very interesting reel. I think I caught one earlier this morning, and it was something about her uh, birthplace, or where she grew up. So
Kind of my
definitely check
journey.
her out on Instagram. And again, you can find her, send her an email, and grab that worksheet from her so that you can become more aware of your own relationship, so that it's not so complicated anymore.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be complicated, guys. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Any last word of advice for our listeners?
Take a deep breath and just take it a step at a time, and you are not alone. I think that was one of the biggest things that I really wish someone had told me. What you're going through, the complicated, the complexities of everything, you're not alone. There's a way to fix it. Get in touch with me.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you're helping the LGBTQ plus community, because I feel that there's a lot of things that's going on right now in the world against the LGBTQ plus community. There's still a lot of debate that's going on out there, even though we don't cover on this show, but there's people who need people. And I think you are onto a really big mission of helping the community and reaching out to more people so that they don't have to go through this alone.
Thank you. Yeah, you aren't alone. You really aren't. So I just hope everybody knows that.
Yeah. So again, you can find her on Facebook and Instagram, as well as her website, chowcoaching.com. And I would see you in the backstage. We're in the backstage, and I'll close up the show. Higher. I want to invite you to come and find me in our community on Facebook at the Visibility Confidence Lounge. This is a community of heart-centered women coaches who are looking to grow their coaching business by creating engaging, authentic, visible content with storytelling for their business to get more leads and attract more clients. I will see you at my next tea party. Bye now.